say it all the time. The older I get, the lower my threshold for bullshit is. That's just a fact. Okay. It's just a fact. The lower the threshold is. And years before you have a higher threshold. It's just a part of life. But then, you start realizing that you don't have to suffer in order to know that something is not for you. You really don't have to suffer. Cinnamon. Just cleansing some and bringing some grounding with cinnamon. You do not have to suffer, okay, to know that something is not for you. And protecting your energy means sometimes you need to be in your own space. I remember when I was younger and I had these big dreams of having a totally different life than the life that I grew up in. And I remember how frustrating it would be because when I started meditating, I could get there. I could have in the moment all of those things that, I was aspiring to have. But as soon as I came back into reality, then I started to feel like I felt the energy around me. I felt how things were, the cycles that were around. And it was very disheartening. But I also realized that when I set the intention that I'm going to do this, I'm going to change this, I'm going to get to another stage or another level, I would not let anything stand in my way. I said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I realized that I had to be mindful of what energy I allowed around me while I was on my journey to whatever was next for me. And I noticed that whenever I make those big leaps into whatever my next thing is, I always look at it from the perspective of what energy do I need surrounding me. Because when you adapt, when you change, when you transform, and when you grow, you're very vulnerable, you're very open. You ever started a new job? Maybe in your old job things happen this way, but when you start a new job, you're optimistic, you're more adaptable, you'll fit into whatever the culture of that job is. That's how it is when you make any change or any transition or move in any direction forward. You're open and vulnerable, so you have to be mindful that as you are going to these next steps, as you are trying this new thing or that new thing, that you don't have the same old limiting energy in. And this in no way is to judge the people, situations, or circumstances that you are around. Everything is purposeful, okay? But it also means you have to learn how to detach. You cannot take everybody with you. You cannot take everybody with you. And more importantly, you cannot take your mentality with you. I think that's more important than the can't take everybody with you. Because that, I think, is it's very external. You can leave things where they're at. But the whole mentality, you cannot take your mentality with you as you are going to your next level. You have to be open to change, to move, and to mature into that next level. That means what is real in this reality may not be real in this next level of your mentality and in your mindset, and making peace with that. Because we can quickly want to look outside of ourselves and blame this person or that person or this situation or that situation for how we feel. But also knowing at the end of the day, it is our choice to hold on to things. Because let's be honest, time is not really a thing or forever just living in the moment. We know about, yesterday only because maybe we took a picture yesterday or we talk about yesterday. But we can't really prove yesterday existed. We can take a picture and say this is what we did yesterday with a newspaper with that date. But does that prove that it happened? Can you go back, to yesterday and, now if families will stay in that rotation. It doesn't even matter. You can leave the family. And if you were the baby, or if you were the one who messed up, or if you were the smart one, it don't matter if you were the smart one, how dumb you were out in life. If you go back, you'll always be that. Because it is not really an environment that wants a lot of change. It's like everything has its role, you know? And families do have the ability to change and to morph, but typically they kind of stay in one thing because they want a cohesive thing. You know, it's kind of like society as a whole will push to make changes and rule changes and cultural changes because what worked before is no longer working now. And there's always that tussle because, you know, the girls like to tussle. There's also that tussle between the old established and the new in growth. And so that which we see happens within us too. As we're going on to this next level, to this next stage of our evolution, of our growth, into your next, I want this, you know, healthy relationship. I want this healthy relationship with money. I want this, you know, whatever that is for you. I want health, good medical health. You know, I want this stuff. You have to change that mindset, and it can feel like almost like a war in between yourself too. If you have ever been in a particularly low moment and you make the decision, I want to get better, every step, especially in the beginning, that you take towards you getting better, it is almost like you're fighting yourself on the inside, because there is a old mindset, a old understanding within you that only knows how things were as reality. And when you introduce something new in the hope that this is where I want to go, the old self can only react in what it's known. If it's known only pain and trauma and uncomfortableness and all of that, it can only react like that. But you take little steps each and every day and you work through whatever's coming up to get to the other side. You don't always have to stay here. It's about going to your next level. And when you get to the other side, you'll begin to notice that you no longer have the same mindset. The mindset is not the same. You're not the same person. And the most powerful thing within us is our mind. I always say the magic is in the mind. You know, it is here. This is what makes it happen. You know, in energy healing, we can use our hands as tools. In anything that we do, we can use our voice as a tool. We can use all of these things. But it starts here. This is the ground. This is where source energy flows into. This is that tells everything else in the body to work and to be life. This is, you know, the strongest part of us. But it can also be the most challenging part when we're not able to connect and work and grow and nurture it in the direction that is best for us. You have that ability. You have that possibility. No matter how low you've ever felt or you may feel, no matter how uncomfortable in the moment you may feel, you have within you already the ability to get to a better place. And you just have to work through it. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's gonna be uncomfortable. Because as you're working through it, you have to literally smush the old you mindset to the corner and embrace, off of pure hope and faith, the new mindset. And whenever the old mindset pops up and says things like, well, it's not gonna work out, every time I that process of the pulling and then pulling yourself is what creates this evolution and this growth, this higher understanding. So you get to a point where you're no longer impacted. But it just starts with a little bit. That's all. That's what consistency is. So protecting your energy is so important, because as you are doing this, as I said before, you're vulnerable. So you don't need to be exposed to a lot of convoluted, codependent interactions with your environment. Simplify everything. If you gotta take a step back and just be with yourself sometimes, simplify it. Get yourself on the path you need to, and then reemerge. Just breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. And go and live life. And embrace the micro lessons. You don't have to be weird and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that this is uncomfortable. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that challenge is a part of the progress. You get a lot from it. But just know in the back of your head, nothing is too big for me. Like, that's it. That's the change. That's the shift. Nothing's too big for me. Oh my gosh, I feel like I, am so horrible, and my biggest pain and biggest hurt and biggest secret will come out as I move in success. No, it won't. Because as I said before, the past only exists if you bring it with you. There's nothing in front of you that is strong enough to knock you over, except you deciding not to move. So sometimes you gotta move even when it's difficult. Sometimes you gotta find that extra to get you to the next part of your journey. Whatever that is for you. Take your time too. There's no race. There's no expectation of what you should have accomplished by this time. People make that up all the time. When it was ready for you and you're ready, that's it. Because the last thing you need is you being extra hard on yourself, which would eventually just encourage you to go back to over there. It doesn't have to be perfect. The line don't look like this, it look like this. But as long as you find a way, that's okay. Breathing in. So now just putting a sense of protection over you, so that you understand that you are highly favored, highly loved, but powerful. It's not that just these energetic helpers around you are there for you. When I say energetic helpers, your understanding of the divine, God, universe, whatever, angels, ancestors, stuff like that. It's not just that energy. The power comes from you. You are the life force. You are the expression. You have it within you, no matter how down you are, how low you are, how sad it is. There is always an infinite amount of energy burning in you that can light yourself up and take you on your path. Take your time. Just take your time. Take your time. And say to the universe exactly what you want. I will find the doctor that will help if you're not good, anything that you touch will not be to the highest potential that you could bring out into this life. So take a step back and work on yourselves, babies. Well, babies, I'm going to smooth you over and seal you with the sign of the infinity. And so, if no one has said it, I love you, okay? But who cares that I love you? The only thing that matters is that you love you. So you gotta learn to love yourself a little bit more each and every day. And babies, when I say protect your energy, I mean it. Don't feel like you have to show up for, a friend if you don't really want to. Don't feel like you have to continue to push a relationship that's not working for you if you don't want to. Don't feel that you have to be tethered to a job because you feel like, oh, this is a good job, it's supposed to be a good job. Like if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. Don't feel like you have to stay in the same faith, religion, spiritual traditions if it's no longer there for you. You don't have to do any of those things. All you have to do is take care of yourself and live to the highest value and potential that you can. Don't feel that you have to accept the diagnosis, the medical diagnosis. If you feel like there is more out there, there's always more out there. There's always other doctors, always other practitioners. And this is, medically speaking, this is how I feel. If I had earlier in life accepted, the allopathic diagnosis of the things that were going on with me, I wouldn't be healed. What I needed to do is I needed to go on that journey. And for me, it was alternative medicine. It was my spiritual practice. It was mindfulness. And then it ended at functional medicine. And so it's just amazing that even though functional medicine is a part of allopathic medicine, is a part of the modern day medical system, I would have never known that I could work through my health conditions if I had just accepted that first diagnosis. And I saw all of the medical practitioners and even me becoming a healer. I saw it as all a part of this role in this chapter and this calling in my life to move forward. So at no point do I ever accept the diagnosis. Even when I'm gonna tell you the truth, even when I didn't have any money, I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. I did whatever I could within reason at that moment. But as soon as I got some money, baby, and that's why I'm saying be grateful if you have access to health insurance, or if you have the means and the money to take care of yourself, because it is not easy if you don't. But also know that there are many options, many natural options there, that as we see more and more research come out in regular medicine, looking at these everyday plants and herbs around us, that they can help us too, and it's more accessible and cheaper too. But if you don't have that education, you don't have access, if you don't have a skilled practitioner who is working with you and helping you through that, it can be very daunting. And so I say